Hello grotty friends, and today we're going to be talking about getting started with 1,000 points of Bully Boyz. So I have some experience playing against Bully Boyz. I actually played them at the final of a GT very recently, and I did beat them, but I do think Bully Boyz is a very strong orc detachment, and basically what you get for being an orc in 10th edition of Warhammer 40,000 is once per game you can call your Wa. When you call your Wa until the end of you call it the start of the battle round, it's going to last the whole battle round. Units from your army with this ability are able to declare a charge in a turn they advance, so it gives your whole army advance and charge. You can get +1 strength, +1 attacks, so it makes you brutal in combat while the Wa is active, and your whole army also gets a 5+ invulnerable save for your Wa turn. Most orc players are going to try and call it in turn 2, I feel like. You're going to move forward in turn 1, turn 2 you're going to advance everything all over the board, be on top of your opponent, do a ton of damage. If you're going first, that's probably how you're going to play it. If you're going second, remember, you do it at the start of the battle rounds. So again, even if you've moved forward in turn 1, you maybe call it the start of battle round 2 just to give your whole army that 5+ invuln, make them more survivable so you have more units alive to advance and charge. If you are Bully Boyz, then you have the detachment rule, the boss is watching, or the boss is watching. And at the start of a battle round in which you have not called your Wa, you can call another one. If you have one or more war boss model on the battlefield. When you call it the second time, it only counts as of being called on war bosses, knobs, and mega knobs. So you get a lot of advantage by only including these sort of units. So that is the strength of the Bully Boyz. That's why you want to basically have 2 turns of Wa, which is super powerful. Again, most orc players are probably going to do that turn 2 and 3. These are very critical turns where basically you can swing the game in your favour massively early in the game, and you become very difficult to kill. You become very scary and very fast in terms of your melee damage output, and this detachment is all about melee. So let me tell you about my first 1,000 point list that I have built. Let me tell you about all the different units, and then we'll take it from there. So this is somewhat of a little bit of a thematic list. I've included Ghazghkull Tharaka because I think he is a super cool character, and I think if I was going to start orcs, I'd want to buy Ghazghkull. He is the iconic war boss that has been around for many years now. But if you wanted to change this list out and make it potentially even more competitive, you could maybe drop Ghazghkull and you could just replace him with like 2 or 3 war bosses. War bosses are obviously needed to call that second Wa, and they attach to a bunch of the squads here. So we'll go over the war boss profile at the end and how you could swap out Ghazghkull. But Ghazghkull is a very strong melee profile. He's going to be attached to 2 mega knobs, and just that unit of Ghazghkull plus the mega knobs are going to do some serious damage output. I'm going to have 1 unit of boys. These are probably going to contest maybe an objective, maybe my home field one. They're kind of like my disposable. I don't care about these guys too much. They've just got choppers, but choppers become good in the Wa because they become strength 5 and you get lots of attacks at AP 1. And the 5+ invuln means that these guys can survive a little bit being toughness 5. I've put 2 trucks into this list. They are the dedicated transports, and in each of the trucks, I'm going to have 10 knobs. Now, knobs, again, not super good at defensive profile, but oh my god are they hard hitting, and every single guy has a power claw. So that's a boatload of strength 10 attacks in the Wa. I think it's strength 9 out with the Wa. And they are 2 damage each, so that unit can crush many different things. Putting the transport makes them mobile. You move the transport forward turn 1, you probably advance it, and then turn 2 you call your Wa, you disembark, you advance, you charge, you do a ton of damage with both units of knobs. They can both be kind of like Alpha Strike in that sense. You got the 2 mega knobs with Ghazghkull, and then you've got 10 Gretchen. 10 Gretchen, very cheap, 40 points. They can spread out quite and create a reasonable footprint because there's 10 of them. Sit them on your home field objective. In a matchup where you feel your home field objective might not be safe, because let's face it, Gretchen have 0 survivability, you could leave the boys there as well. Or you could leave the boys on the home field and maybe bring the Gretchen out to play. I don't think the Gretchen do too much, but if they are sitting on an objective, every turn they're going to potentially give you an extra command point, so maybe that alone is worth 40 points. It's very cheap. It's only a 50-50 chance, but still, it's very cheap. So let's dive into the list. And let's start with Ghazghkull Tharaka with his sidekick, Makari. So Ghazghkull is T6 with 10 wounds and a 2+ save. He is OC4, very strong. He has a gun. It's basically a rapid fire 4, strength 5 No AP though, so it doesn't really kill much, and only BS5, so he doesn't do too much with his gun. But his main attack is coming 6 attacks, 2 up weapon skill, strength 14. So that would be 7 attacks, strength 15 in the Y. He's got 2 turns of Y. They are -3 and flat 4 damage. While he's leading a unit, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, you add 1 to the hit roll and 1 to the wound roll. So that's going to be huge for those Mega Knobs. If you call a Y this battle round, a critical hit is scored successfully on 5 ups. So basically it means like on 5 ups you're going to be critting. Pretty nice. While Orc unit is within 12 inches of Makari, when you call a Y, you have lethal hits. So if another unit is close to Gazgul, then they're going to get lethal hits, and that's going to be brutal. And also your unit, I guess, is going to get lethal hits as well, because there's aura, so it'll affect himself. Makari is also pretty interesting in that he is just a 1 wound model. He has a stabber. Sure, 1 attack with a devastating wound. But the reason that is cool with Makari is he has a 2-up invulnerable save, and you cannot reroll invulnerable saving throws made for this model, fine, but it means when you start having to deal damage to Gazgul, there's a potential to get a bunch. Statistically, it's going to take 6 extra hits before you can actually do any damage to Gazgul, and he has 10 wounds. And sometimes you can spike pretty hard on a 2-up save. I've seen like someone do like 13 2-up saves in a row. So, this gives you a lot of survivability, and attaching them to the 2 Mega Knobs, which we'll look at in a second, are very, very powerful. Remember, those Mega Knobs potentially getting lethals and potentially hitting on criticals on 5s, and +1 to hit and wound. So, strength 15, 4 damage though, 7 attacks is brutal. He's so survivable as well. 4-up save when you finally kill Makari. I think he's a really good unit for 230 points. In a small 1,000-point game, if the opponents don't deal with him, he has the potential to kill multiple units, right? In 2,000 points, he's maybe a little bit weaker, because the second he comes in and does his 7 attacks at strength 15 and kills a few units, your opponent will quickly get lots and lots of stuff against him, right? Like, you've got to get rid of him quickly. I don't think that's so easy in a 1,000-point game. So Gazgul is a cool unit. Those boys that we talked about. So basically, a unit of boys, just 10 guys with choppers. Again, they're a little bit stronger when we use the WA, but they're nothing special. Just like 1 wound, 5-up save. At the end of the command phase, if the unit within range of an objective marker, it remains under your control, even if no models are in range of it. So basically, they have some sticky objectives from these boys. Like I said, you could use them for your home field, you could use them elsewhere. One guy can take a power claw, so take a power claw in the sergeant. 85 points, I don't think they're too bad. If you are in the WA phase, I guess, right, like you are going to get like 36 strength 5 hits from the choppers. It's not too bad. Kills a lot of things, 36 strength 5 hits. The trucks are pretty simple. They're pretty cost effective at 65 points, right? Each truck is equipped with a wrecking ball, which is pretty good. It's a single strength 10 hit that does d6 damage. They have toughness 8, so they kind of got a little bit weaker. They used to be able to tank shot with these guys, but the tank shock is a little bit weaker, but it's still toughness 8, so you still get 8 dice on tank shock. You regain a wound per turn, if that's meaningful. You have 10 wounds, you have an invulnerable save, and you have a couple of big shooters. So it's fine. You don't really take the truck for its offensive. You take it because it's going to get your knobs across the battlefield, and it's 65 points. I feel like that's kind of okay. Very similar profile to Rhino, I think, and a Rhino might be 75. So a truck is very cost effective. And the thing is, once they've unloaded the boys inside them, the trucks can then do some actions and do some scoring. They're not really going to kill stuff, even with their strength 10 wrecking ball. It's kind of random. So use these trucks to sit on objectives, score secondaries, do actions, whatever suits. The knobs coming out of the trucks, then we've got 10 knobs. Every single knob has a power claw, so that is 3 attacks. It's strength 9, but in the WA it's obviously 4 attacks at strength 10. So you basically, each squad of knobs is going to give you 40 strength 10 power fist attacks. The knobs are toughness 5 again, and 2 wounds per model, and they have that 5 up when you're in the WA turn. Unfortunately, we're not leading them, but this is why I said you could lead these guys. You could lose Gazgul and lead these guys with war bosses, and that could be a way to. If you don't want to buy Gazgul, there's definitely a play to buy a bunch of war bosses. So while war boss is leading this unit, each time attack targets a unit, if the strength characters are greater than the toughness, you subtract 1 to wound. So basically, what it means is these guys become quite a bit more survivable when they're led by a war boss. But yeah, I think the our ideal way to run these guys is disembark from the trucks in your WA turn, advance, charge, do a bunch of damage. Once per battle for each ammo runt this unit has. When this unit is selected to shoot, it can use this ability. If it does, until the end of phase, ranged weapons equipped with that unit have lethal hits. But, I mean, fine. I think the way to play these guys, though, is Power Claws, right? Every model should replace their big chopper with Power Claws. The shooting is insignificant. Most of the orc shooting is insignificant. So we get 2 units of that. So we get 2 trucks. So the trucks will take all the damage. We'll advance out the trucks and do a ton of damage. We've got Gazgul moving up, who will also do a ton of damage. Gazgul is, of course, joined by the 2 Mega Knobs. I think the Mega Knobs should probably just have, I think it's the Kill Saw, which is strength 12, AP 3, 2 damage. And because of +1 to hit and +1 to wound, and because of the WA, then you'll get 6 attacks from the Mega Knobs, hitting on 3s. To be strength 12 with +1 to wound, so that'll wound just about everything. And they're AP 3. And during the WA turns, this actually did get nerfed. The battle sheet that I've got here says it's a 4-up feel no pain. But during the WA turns, these guys have a 5-up feel no pain. So they're still pretty survivable in that they're toughness 6. They have a 2-up save. They have a 5-up feel no pain. And I guess each guy has like a shooter. I'd probably take the shooter over the combi weapon, honestly. So you get some fire, it's not going to do much, chips a wound off here or there. The reason, again, to take these guys is the kill saws, and they're quite good ablative wounds for Gazgul, right? We already talked about Makari being ablative wounds. These guys are ablative wounds. You're going to get 6 wounds, 2-up saves, so they're going to hit you with some significant AP. 3 wounds a model is also a good breakpoint. 3 wound models are good against 2 damage weapons, and especially when you've got that feel no pain, a couple of feel no pain saves can actually mean like you might fail 3 2 damage weapons and you only lose 1 model. So these guys give Gazgul enough time, because he's going to be foot slogging. If you're going to a 1,000-point list, a lot of people take a battle wagon, potentially put Gazgul in the battle wagon, and that could be a way you build out this list further. And then, like I said, you've got this small squad of 10 Gretchen that you're going to spread out on your home field objective. Each time, I'm not even going to talk about their attack ability. The reason you take them is at the start of the command phase, roll 1d6. For each objective marker you control as 1 or more units with your army with this ability. And if one of those d6 is a 4-up, you gain a CP. So for the 40 points, statistically every game over 5 turns, you get 2.5 CP back. That might honestly be worth the 40 points, let alone just because Bully Boyz have some really interesting stratagems which we can dive into right now. The ones that are pretty good, like cut them down, basically means you can make opponents take desperate escape against tests if they want to fall back at you, which is very strong, right? Because you really don't want to be in melee with any of these units of orcs. You can do too arrogant to die, which basically means that you can fight on death. At the end of the phase, each time a model is destroyed, that model is not fought or shot, roll a d6, add 2 to the result in the WA turn. So normally you fight on death on a 5-up. In the WA turn, you can fight on a death on 3-up. It's only 1 CP, so if you lose that whole unit of knobs, for example, 10 guys, you could pay the 1 CP. Statistically, like 7 of them still get to fight. That's a lot of power claws you're still getting. There's also potential when you make a charge move, you can roll for mortal wounds. They also can reduce AP against them when they're being shot. So generally, their stratagems are pretty interesting. They're all 1 CP, which is pretty nice, so having more CP is just going to let you do more things. Overall, I actually really like the Bully Boyz. Like I said, I played them a few times, and I was fortunate to play them because I played them at the top table at the final of a GT. I found them very difficult to deal with. So if you liked this video or this list, please let me know in the comments. Obviously, like, if you want to, you could easily swap Gazgul out for like 3 war bosses. And if you don't like Gazgul, by all means. I am really an orc specialist, so this was like a challenge to make a 1,000-point Bully Boyz list, and this is what I liked. If you want to see our full breakdown on the Orc Codex, we do full breakdowns on all the new codexes and stuff like that on the channel, which are a bit more chill, a bit more fun, a bit more relaxed, then I will link that below. Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. I have been one, but there is 3 Grots on this channel. So subscribe, like, share, comment, and consider supporting us on Patreon. We try to generally do 40k content every Thursday or every second Thursday, whenever we can. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Bye-bye.